To some people, Chris Foustoukos is the face of God. He's the priest at St. Basilio's Greek Orthodox Church in Peabody, Massachusetts. His life is based on helping parishioners in their own spiritual lives.
I would say you could have the same sort of feeling as like maybe a nurse or a doctor or a policeman or a fireman, a helping profession. And so, yeah, I get a lot of satisfaction, out of that. And certainly, helping people in their relationship, with God.
Father Chris didn't always want to be a priest. He did grow up in the church, but went to college for business and then went into the Air Force thereafter.
Working in that career field, sort of being ready to melt the world when it was the Soviet Union versus the United States kind of thing, that my calling sort of got renewed.
Ever since becoming a priest, Father Chris hasn't looked back. He puts all of his energy into his parishioners and does the best job he can every single day.
I really don't think I'm a good priest in terms of what parishioners might see, maybe my singing voice or, in our, denomination, my Greek isn't perfect. But what I think is I love God's people. So whatever imperfections I have in myself that I bring to ministry, God somehow makes use of, the talents that I do have.
When parishioners confide in Father Chris, their struggles become his. And to him, this is exactly what trust looks like.
That you can put your life, your spiritual life, depending on the situation, your physical life, your emotional life, in the hands of someone else, and know that they will treat that as a precious gift.
Father Chris is quick to note that every parishioner is different, and that affects the trust they put into him.
It depends on what their own experiences have been. If they've had numerous cases where people have abused the trust that they've planted in them, it's hard to have that trust. And then it would depend if it's a parental figure, especially if it's a father figure. And since I'm called father and I'm a male, for some people, it's difficult to make that leap. And so you need to understand that and not expect it.
The relationship people have with Father Chris, in many cases, reflects the relationship they have with God.
We need to be very careful on what we do, what we say, how we act, how we respond to things, because that will get blurred or mixed in with people's perception of God. And so, it's really precious. I mean, earning people's trust. And we need to be very careful that we're not abusive in that trust.
Father Chris says he has the people skills to take the responsibility on.
I think forgiveness. I think that I'm honest and that I'm loving, so that, if someone has talked about something that's hard and, they're wondering now, will they be diminished in my eyesight, And so, what I try to do at the end when we finish our conversation, ask them, is it okay? Can I have a hug? That in spite of all this, I love you anyway. And because isn't that how God responds to us?
Father Chris could have continued in the Air Force or gone on to be a wealthy businessman. But he chose the priesthood, where he can invest his time in others' lives instead of his own.
The best part is, in ministry, regardless, is the privilege of being invited into people's lives in their darkest moments and in their most joyful moments. Because essentially I'm a stranger, and that people trust and invite me into these very private moments.